get Kyle Pitts the ball in week 3.
You spent the 4th overall pick of the 2021 draft on this guy. You didn't take Jamar Chase, you didn't take Jalen Waddle, you didn't take Marcus Parsons. You could have had any of them. Instead, you spent it on Kyle Pitts. To do what? We can plead, we can do a fundraiser. Do you need to do a GoFundMe? What does it take? Get Kyle Pitts the ball. That's what I need to ask you. What do we need to do to get Kyle Pitts the ball?
You throw to Brian Edwards in double coverage at Jalen Ramsey when you got Kyle Pitts over there just all by his lonesome in single coverage. Now you say it's not fantasy football, and I understand that. You said you're trying to win. What did you win? You won nothing. You want to win? Put Kyle Pitts in.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry.
Happy Friday. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Never wrong, just early, Lawrence Jackson, Kyle Pitts. Truthers drink for free today. That's right. You want to win. Hopefully you put in Kyle Pitts in the opening round of the Fantasy Football playoffs. My goodness, fellas.
He was in last night. He definitely was in.
I like how it says truthers as well. So Kyle Pitts has been a conspiracy that Oliver Stone would do a movie about. He has felt very much like that the past few years.
Good game for that young man last night. You know,
pretty decent. 166, 3 touchdowns.
When you say, "Hey man, we're gonna take you 4th overall," that's what you get, right? That's what you want right there. And you know, Connor, I think the stats aside of it, I think how he did it was he looked like what they thought he would be, making contest. It wasn't just busted coverages.
I agree.
He made contested catches. He made the great catch in the end zone for his 2nd touchdown where his butt barely stayed in. Like, just making plays. Looked like he was as good as Bijan Robinson yesterday. So
he looked like the true mismatch weapon that we were hoping for a long time.
Yeah, that was, I thought, an instructive play where I think it's 3rd down, Bucs blitz, Cousins off his back foot, and just tosses it up over the middle because he knows that Kyle Pitts is just bigger than the guy.
That was a good throw by
Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
It's like, why haven't we seen this for the past half decade from Kyle Pitts? But he delivered last night. It's crazy. We've got stuff in the rundown, like best fantasy performances of all time. Kyle Pitts.
He really.
It's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, if you win against Kyle Pitts in fantasy this week, you're hurting right now. You're not gonna sleep for the next 2-3 nights.
You're shaking your fist at the sky. Asking, how did this happen to me?
He's like, why?
Brian Hickman said Kyle Pitts finally hits, and Barry is where?
He's literally in a gutter in Las Vegas.
It is a fair question. It's a little ironic. Yeah. Matthew's not here after the historic night from Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, we don't know. And so the facts are Matthew was in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, whether that was in direct response to Kyle Pitts going ballistic, we don't know. But that is where he is at the moment. That is the fact.
All right, let's get into the Roto-World player news. And don't worry, we got plenty to do on this Friday. We will answer your questions as we always do on What's on Tap. Jay and I have some pickup lines for Lawrence. Denny's going to join the show for your Flexual Frustrations, but let's start with Thursday night.
45.6. Isn't that what Jonathan Taylor did in Berlin?
Folks, this is not a typo.
Jamar Chase against the Steelers level production. Yes, the notable fantasy performances. Think about how many people had him on their bench in the reverse round of the fantasy football
I can tell you this, Connor. I wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, I got him in about 5 leagues, including our league, the League of Assholes, where I actually got a bye. But you know what? I'm not even mad. It's
sign of
just
things
like,
to come.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just want to say, the Atlanta Falcons their defense is not bad. Like, it's an okay defense. It has its weaknesses, can't stop the run, etc. But it's not a dreadful defense. Right. You have Bijan Robinson, who I think is the best running back in football because of his diversity. Him, Gibbs, Taylor, whatever. But he's one of the 3 best, I think. You have Drake London, superstar wide receiver. You have Kyle Pitts, who just put up 45.6 fantasy points. You have a good offensive line. And the team came into last night at 4-9. Like, it's just season is just ridiculous. How were they 3 games back at the Panthers going into last night? It was a kind of a reminder of what could have been with this season. Because you look at the play, it's like this team has so much talent, and yet 4-9 in the NFC South going into last night.
I always think of them, and you probably can attest to this too, Connor. I always think of the Falcons as like a little bit better version of the Jets. But actually, the Jets beat them, so I don't know who's better now.
Which is crazy because when they started out the year so hot, and it was a short amount of time, but they were impressive. And when they beat the Bills and everything like that, you're looking at, okay, this defense has all this young talent, and when they run play action, Penix looked comfortable, and you have Bijan. And it just, when it all fell apart, it all caved in at once.
They crushed the Bills. They were one play away from beating both the Pats and the Colts when the Colts were rolling.
Yep.
Like, this shouldn't be a team that is 5-9 now.
Had to find ways to win. And you look at the rest of their schedule right here. Week 16, they got the Cardinals. That should be another nice matchup for Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and Drake London if he's able to get back there. They got the Rams after that. That'll be tough, but you expect them to be probably more than a touchdown favorite in that game. So, yeah, very weird season for the Atlanta Falcons when you got 5 wins and one of them is the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and that first week against the Bucs, they missed the field goal, as we see here from looks like Vinny. Kyle Pitts broke out before we got GTA 6. That's a 10 out of 10.
Unbelievable.
It's true.
Yeah.
No denying it.
I think everything happened in before that.
It definitely feels that way. As we look at the best fantasy performances by a tight end in NFL history, phenomenal job by our team here that works on the show to dig this up.
So this is a better game than Antonio Gates ever had in his career. Gonzalez, it's just
best one since 1996, which is
Rob Gronkowski never had a game like this.
I'll tell you too, like, it's funny because going into this week, heading out of week 15, there's not a way that Kyle Pitts is going to be less than 4th in the NFL in tight end receiving yards. The only one he won't be ahead of is Trey McBride. Yeah. So collectively he's put together his best season. So then you got, like, look at it. The past 2 games before this, he had at least 6 catches for 80 yards. I think Matthew had him on the love list last week too. So it's been brewing, especially when there's no Drake London. When there's no Drake London, you should have been starting Kyle Pitts, and we've talked about that on this show. And I just think when all the things aligned, Kirk Cousins playing the Bucs, the Tampa Bay Bucs having the 4th worst passing defense in the league, then it all comes together. You get this.
Do you think he's a bad match with Penix's skill set?
I thought they actually had some good games together. Yeah. I think it is a little bit more the Drake London.
Yeah.
In fact, Drake London ate up so much of the volume in this offense with Penix, and he would do the same with Cousins. That it's almost like you look at the snap count of this game, his pivot. He played 31 snaps in line, like a real tight end, but then he played 23 in the slot and still played 9 at outside wide receiver.
Yeah.
So when you look at, like,
which
I don't think
about right.
I don't know if those 9 outside wide receiver snaps exist if Drake London's healthy.
Sure.
In this game.
Probably not.
So is he viable and usable if London comes back? Yeah,
for sure.
This level of elite tight end production. By the way, the 5 touchdowns in a game that Kellen Winslow caught is the NFL record. He's tied with Bob Shaw and Jerry Rice. So, Kyle Pitts was right under that in terms of fantasy
points.
We're
mentioning Kyle Pitts with Jerry Rice and Kellen Winslow. The real Kellen Winslow, the first Kellen Winslow.
The original.
Yeah.
The original
Chublo.
Yes, how it makes its way back. Despite all of this, effect of all of this, Kirk Cousins, classic Kirk Cousins against the Bucs, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, Lawrence, is there anything to take away here in terms of sustainability, or is this the classic case of he does it again against Tampa?
Look, if you're in a super flex situation, you should have been smart enough to start him in this matchup, just going in knowing Tampa Bay is a bottom 5 pass defense in the league, knowing that Kirk Cousins in his last 3 games against the Bucs averages 386 passing yards and averages 3.5 touchdown passes versus this Bucs defense. You see it here on the screen, but next week, again, they're playing the Cardinals. Should be a good matchup, but there have been other good matchups for Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, and it hasn't gone so well. So, you have to temper you have to bring those expectations back down, but nonetheless, it's a good showing, and don't we just wish Kirk Cousins could play the Bucs every single week?
Yeah, he'd be elite. How about this one from Pitts My Pants? Does this game mean I can finally trade Pitts in Dynasty for a solid return this offseason? By the way, Kyle Pitts is a free agent.
I think so. It's about when you strike, right? It's like you'd have to, you have to trade. You have to think before or after if he potentially gets to that new team. If he goes to a team like, I don't know, the Cowboys or the Chiefs. Or Cowboys got a tight end, but I'm just throwing team
Chiefs
names out there.
interesting.
You get him on a team like that, then you really could go trade him. But even if he ends the season like he has been these past 3 games, I think his value is as high as it's been since his rookie year, to be honest, in Dynasty.
Yeah, as far as Cousins goes, I think this is largely about the matchup. You got a Bucs defense that can't generate a pass rush without blitzing. The corners, Jamel Dean got banged up briefly, came back in. McCollum went down, didn't come back. Like, they just don't have the horses. And also, they're going to stop the run either. Bijan was doing what he wanted. So it's like, what can you do? What can you actually do? And it felt like what Bowles fell back on was, we just got to blitz him every time. And that's what they were doing down the end. And Cousins was good enough to make the throws. And now the Bucs are looking up at the Panthers in the NFC South because you couldn't stop Kirk Cousins from converting 3rd and 28.
Jay, you said, what could you do? I think Todd Bowles was asking himself the same thing on the sidelines. We have never heard Todd Bowles like this after a loss. Take a listen.
It's inexcusable. You don't make excuses. You got to care enough where the hurts. You got to care enough where the hurts. It got to mean something to you. It's more than a job. It's your livelihood. How well do you know your job? How well can you do your job? Well, you can't sugarcoat that. It was inexcusable, and there's no answer for it. There's no excuse for it. That's what you tell them a lot. Only look in the mirror.
So
Shout out to Todd Bowles.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Coach of the year for mine.
Intentionally going for the viral moment, because I don't think you get that many F-bombs in a couple, 7 F-bombs. It's like I'm all with the F-bombs, right? But it's like, man, when you got to use that many, it's kind of like, man, where your conversation skills at? He was pissed. he mad.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Stuntman Chuck, of course, always good to see. Todd Bowles with the most polite and calm tirade of F-bombs I've ever heard.
Yeah,
because the tone never changes.
Yeah, he chill with it.
The most monotone tirade, the most furious monotone tirade.
You can't even hear what he's saying except F-bomb. That's all you hear.
Here's the thing. If the Bucs, if they lose in Carolina next week, Todd Bowles, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do at that point, because this is a much better team. This is a better team than Carolina, and they should win that game. And it's going to be season on the line for them.
What's the line of that game?
I don't know what it's got. I don't know what it is at the moment. I think that, the Bucs in the state that they're in, like, they are a below average team right now with that defense, and the Panthers are worse. The Bucs will be favored in that game, I think, but it'll be close. I think it'll be -1.5, -2 type of line.
It's incredible, and I think that's fair. Ved in the chat, wonder how many F-bombs Todd Bowles would say if he heard the Finding Nemo sequel story. Oh, boy.
That's good.
Have you heard this whole Matthews Finding Nemo 2 pitch?
I don't know about that.
Here we go. Bucs are minus.
We won't tell you.
Bucs are -1.5.
Bucs
Bucs are -1.5 next week.
You're
right on it.
Yeah, and look, out of Carolina, you're not going to get them to have 19 penalties for 125 yards either. So you got the Falcons had that, and you still lose the game. Should have had eight F-bombs knowing that info.
The entire chat at once demanding that I don't retell the Finding Nemo pitch.
It was just long. It wasn't that bad of a story. It was just the duration was the killer.
Like, he kind of forgot the story, but then would remember it over, like, go back. Actually, Finding Nemo's brother runs away, and then they go to find his brother. I can't believe it didn't get picked up. That blows my mind.
Bad chat.
Welcome back, Mike Evans, in this game. Pissed off Mike Evans on the sideline, and after the game, rightly so. He's, came back for this. 12 targets, though, is what he came back for in fantasy. He hauls in 6 of them. Explosive plays galore. He had 132 yards. And I think, guys, what was alarming in this, too, Jay, is also the snap rate and the usage amongst these guys. While the numbers tell a different story, unfortunately, Godwin gets the touchdown in this one. Kind of feels like it's going to be the Mike Evans and Chris Godwin show now.
It does. It was weird, because also the other thing too is this is the first game back for Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan, who got run too, and so you would suspect that is only going to go up, not down. It was surprising that Godwin was the guy who was out there every snap, even though he didn't really do anything until the fourth quarter, where he has the octopus at the end, has the clutch catch that should have won the game for the Bucs to move the chains just before the 2-minute. But thing is that Evans' target share was insane. So you're going to be starting Mike Evans going forward, clearly. So the question, I think, becomes, what do we do with Emeka Egbuka, who I thought he actually looked better last night than he had previously. He was making nice contested catches. He was getting open. Baker just missed him multiple times. Baker should have hit him to win the game on that second down. I don't really know why they were throwing on 2nd and 14 there, but they threw, and Baker had Ibuka, and if Ibuka makes that catch, then he ends up, in the 80s for receiving yards.
Game over.
Yeah.
Sure.
He also, Baker had him twice in the end zone and missed him once and didn't go his way another time. So, but the snaps going down is the concern. And now Ibuka, who's been getting this crazy amount of targets because he's been out there every play, it felt like. If he's only going to be like a 60-65% snap guy, then all of a sudden I don't really think you want to start him.
Well, Lawrence, here's the route participation for them last night. Godwin, 95% of the routes. Mike Evans, who we saw, a little banged up, 70%. Yeah. Ibuka, 63%, and then McMillan, 50%.
Yeah, and with that info, Connor, I'll answer Sammy MXAL's question. What do we do with these Bucs wide receivers? Well, you start Mike Evans, clearly 12 targets, 6 catches, 132 yards. Chris Godwin, who you just mentioned, had the highest route participation. You're starting him. That's his 3rd straight game with 10 fantasy points. And Emeka Ibuka, to be honest, you got to start him too. He's a flex guy. Despite his low snap shares, 22% target share last night. So Baker was throwing to all of the receivers. It's just you got to understand the pecking order of how it goes. What it seemed to me like, Jay, is that they got these veterans back, and it was like, hey, we got to get control of the NFC South. We got to go with the guys who we've been rolling with for years, and that showed in the route participation. Baker trusts Emeka Ibuka. He trusts Jalen McMillan, who also got some run. He trusts the younger guys, but he trusts the veterans more, and that's what it looks like. You just had to know what's the order when looking at these Bucs receivers.
Yeah, I think I'd still start Ibuka over Godwin. I just don't, Godwin had 20 receiving yards last night. He just doesn't look like the same guy. No. Ibuka, I think even with Ibuka's struggles lately, Emeka Ibuka's a better receiver, I think, at this point of his career than Chris Godwin. I think that will bear out over these last 3 games where they go up against 3 pretty unimposing secondaries, Carolina twice and the Dolphins in the game in between. So you're not super excited about Ibuka. I agree with Lawrence, more of a flex guy now, but I'd still have him over Godwin.
Both of him and Godwin is more of the flex play. Mike Evans, after seeing that game, is the guy you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of coming off the weekend or recent where Isaiah Likely's touchdown was not ruled a catch, the ruled a catch and fumble in this game?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get the rules.
Because on the slow-mo replay, I'm like, it's kind of a catch and fumble. But then when you really watch it in full time, it's hard to distinguish the difference in each of them. Not to get in the nitty-gritty, but it's very cloudy.
It's a week-by-week, game-by-game thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of, because I was watching the end of the game with the sound off, and there was a couple fumbles where it's like, well, I just assumed that Tampa recovered. It's just insane. How do you know? There was one particularly with the penultimate score for Atlanta where it's like there's 6 Bucs in the vicinity. There's one Falcon and he's on the ground. I'm just assuming that Tampa have come up with the ball. No, and now their season is on life support.
Yeah, that was shocking to me for sure. All right, well, one more thing from this game because Sean Tucker, just when you kind of get ready to write him off with Bucky Irving back, he's there to kind of snipe the goal line touches. I think the question is, can this keep happening as we show the Bucs backfield? Listen, Bucky Irving's obviously the guy. He gets 17 touches where Tucker and Rachaad White combined for 6. That's not the question, but that little problem is there, Lawrence. Bucky's night looks a lot different with that touchdown that he's not getting down there.
And I think you just have to hope that, I don't think the Buccaneers in their offense mind whichever one of these running backs are in the game when they get near the goal line. So to them, it's just like, hey, Bucky just got us down here. Let's give him a breather. Get in, get Sean Tucker in here who had 4 carries, 7 yards, and a touchdown. So, it's just a tough situation. We'll still keep riding with Bucky Irving. Like you said, Connor, those 17 touches tell the story. Also, week 14, when he came back, that told the story as well when he actually did get the touchdown.
This looks like Vinny was asking, is Bucky a bench moving forward? No red zone work. I agree with you, Lawrence. And, Jay, there's just There's just no way you would sit him because of...
I don't think so. He's getting 18 carries in what theoretically should still be a very good offense. The problem is, the problem with this offense, frankly, is that Baker Mayfield has not really played well since week 6 against the Niners.
I'm not convinced he's healthy at all.
No. And it's strange because he's ripping the ball,
right,
and he's still not afraid to move around, and he's getting hit. I guess that's just Baker.
It's just adrenaline.
Yeah, he's just missing throws at the moment.
It's guys just going through droughts. You've seen it, we see it with Lamar.
Well, that's the thing.
We've seen it with Hurts, Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield had a 3 or 4 game stretch just a couple weeks ago when he didn't throw for 200 yards. But like you said, Jay, he still got it, because he Baker and he the man. But just a tough stretch. But they better get rolling now.
All right, let's look at the Week 15 injuries we're tracking. Geno Smith, of course, with that shoulder injury and a back injury. Devon Achane left after the first half with the rib injury, though it sounds like he could have came back into that game. We'll get back to a lot of these. Josh Jacobs with a knee. Alvin Kamara with the knee and ankle. CeeDee Lamb, of course, with the concussion, a scary concussion in the end zone. Tee Higgins with a concussion as well. Devontae Adams with a hamstring, although that's something he's kind of dealt with the last couple of years. Marvin Harrison Jr. still with that heel injury. Rome Odunze, who missed last week with the foot injury. Jake Ferguson with the calf. Let's get right back to Josh Jacobs, guys, because he called himself day-to-day after his knee stiffened in Week 14 against the Bears. But it feels like there's a very real chance, Lawrence, that he might not be ready to go this week in the first round of the playoffs. A guy that fantasy managers lean on as much as anyone.
Yeah, and I hope those who had Emmanuel Wilson a couple weeks ago, whether you roster Josh Jacobs or not, I hope you held on to him. And what's interesting to me here, Connor, is he said it himself that he's day-to-day. Usually players is especially days away from the game, they're like, I'm going to be good to go. Right. I'll be good. That's just what a athlete going to do. They feel like they can get back. But for him himself to say that is it's very alarming, and you should definitely have Emmanuel Wilson ready to go.
We actually have a current update that happened while we were doing the show here, Jay. Packers coach Matt LaFleur said Jacobs will practice today in a limited fashion after he's missed this week. But the quote was, it sounds like he's feeling pretty good, but LaFleur made sure to add that he has to see how he feels after the workout.
Yeah, I suspect he's going to play because he's Josh Jacobs.
He's arguably the toughest player in the NFL.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where
Herbert.
we've spoken about in the past, Michael Pittman's the same way, just plays through everything for better or worse. So I suspect that he's probably going to give it a go. I think previously, if you reviewed all of the Josh Jacobs 50-50 situations going into a site, it feels like he plays 85% of the time. The one thing is that they play the Bears next week in Chicago, and that is division on the line. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is that they kind of have the 1 seed on the line right now. So it's not like this game is you can pass up this game and just focus on the division. They have a very real chance of getting the 1 seed. So it's a huge game against the Broncos. So I suspect that Jacobs is probably going to play. Thing is, it's not a great matchup regardless against Denver, but clearly you're going to be starting Josh Jacobs if he's good to go. And I think you feel reasonable enough about starting Emmanuel Wilson anyway if Jacobs doesn't go, even up against a tough defense, just because the Packers offense is rolling right now.
Here's maybe a surprising one. CeeDee Lamb practiced fully on Thursday. That looked like a very scary concussion. Now, he has had a little bit more time than just the standard week, but whenever you kind of see that fencing pose after a concussion, it's a little scary. As we got an update here from Tom Pelissero. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb has now cleared concussion protocol, so he will play. And the question, Lawrence, isn't are you starting CeeDee Lamb? Of course you are. It's what are the expectations for all the other pass catchers in this offense now? Yeah, it should be pretty much the same as it's been. George Pickens, who didn't have a great game last week. Ryan Flournoy, you kind of got to let that go now. Yeah, I think so.
He came in and had the big numbers, 115 passing yards. That's the guy that is so far of a desperation play that you'd have to start Michael Irvin in 1995 before him. So I would think it'd be business as usual for the Cowboys offense. So CeeDee Lamb, when you got a concussion and you're practicing fully on a Thursday, that's what you like to hear if you're his fantasy manager.
Especially to clear the protocol, you have to get in a full practice. So you could still be in the protocol and practice fully, and that gets you out.
Yeah. Also, just related, other superstar wide receiver in concussion protocol. Looks like Tee Higgins is not practicing.
That's a scary one.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones where Once again, we got to do the football players play thing. But, like, with all you've invested in Tee Higgins, when this season is officially over for the Bengals,
this is the thing, too.
You're not rushing that.
No. It is a scary situation. It's like Travarius Ward, similar deal where, like, that is now a serious situation. He's gone on IR for a second time. And so, yeah, the Bengals naturally don't want Tee Higgins in that situation. If he's not practicing today, I suspect that he's just not. He won't be playing on the weekend.
It'd be hard to imagine that.
He's been ruled out.
Okay.
So that's official right there, as you see from Underdog NFL. Tee Higgins ruled out for Week 15.
So he'll miss both games against the Ravens this year, and they were literally 3 weeks apart. It's like Ravens break, Ravens again.
Right.
Tee Higgins missed both of those.
Another wide receiver that was just ruled out, guys. Marvin, all these are coming in hot and fast here during our show today. Marvin Harrison Jr. ruled out Sunday against the Texans with that heel injury. So, and Jonathan Gannon did speak to this. He said he anticipates Marv will play again this season, that he's doing a lot better. I don't really know what to make of that, but what I can make of this week, Jay, Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson, a no-brainer start.
Yeah, again, just like a borderline wide receiver one. Don't care that he's going up against the Texans. Derek Stingley, don't care. The guy just gets peppered with volume. So, yeah, fire up Michael Wilson. Start him as you have the previous few weeks.
Double-digit catches and at least 15 targets and 115 yards. At least that in these 3 games that Marvin Harrison has missed.
Geno Smith has not been practicing this week with that shoulder injury. Ian Rappaport said it's unlikely that he starts on Sunday, which would put Kenny Pickett in line to play. Do you trust any Raiders pass catchers with Pickett, Lawrence? I would think Bowers.
You got to go with Bowers.
You're not going to get cute with Bowers.
You're not going to get cute with Bowers, but you're going to be nervous. You're not going to be cute, but you're going to be nervous.
Right.
Going against the Eagles defense, who played damn good against the Chargers. So you get Eagles defense versus the Chargers, Justin Herbert, Marion Hampton, all those guys. Now you're going against Kenny Pickett. So, yeah, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, wouldn't mess with Trey Tucker. That's it. That's all you got, Brock Bowers for the Raiders.
And our last one, of course, or second to last one, we have a mini sad update at the end here. Stephen Holder does a great job covering the Colts, says they're prepping Phillip Rivers to start in Week 15 against the Seahawks. Phillip Rivers, who, with his 70 overall Madden rating, is higher, you're going to love this, Lawrence, higher than Shador, and Anthony Richardson, and Russell Wilson.
I'll give him Anthony Richardson, not Shador.
I'd give him Russ. Maybe.
They about the same.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Russ did had a good game versus Dallas. I think they just showing him respect. You know, a veteran would have had a great career. But we'll see. Maybe he might play decent and get bumped up to a 75, you know. But for him to just come off the couch after what is it, 5 years, and get the. Now I didn't think Riley Leonard looked like, you know. He didn't look great.
Like Max Brosmer. He didn't look like Max Brosmer.
Definitely didn't look like Max Brosmer. But, like, I thought, you know, he's been there. He handled it like you would expect a guy who wasn't expecting to play. 6th-round rookie. Like, I thought he did size. So for them to bring in old Philly off the couch with his kids and coaching high school football, probably got the little beer gut going. He chilling, but we about to see what he could do.
Yeah, it's going to be a great science experiment for how much of the quarterback position is above the shoulders, because what's below the shoulders doesn't look right.
He definitely will have that. I think it'll be a lot of quick passes. You want to get the ball out of his hands quick because you for sure don't want to get him hit.
Yeah, people have asked, like, how do you set a line on this game? Like, how do you set an immediate expectation around what Phil Rivers is going to show? In my head, what I'm thinking is like a slightly worse version of the last year of Peyton Manning, where he can like still diagnose the defense, but there was just nothing left in the arm or the body at that point. Now, Peyton Manning did go on to win the Super Bowl that year, albeit with one of the great defenses of modern vintage. But yeah, I really don't know what to expect from Phil Rivers. I suspect that it's not going to go great against the Seahawks.
They're certainly going to test them. This is the Seahawks at home. They're going to load that box up and say, all right, let's see what you still got there. Because what the Colts are hoping that they can hand it off to Jonathan Taylor, and he could break at least one. Because if they could break at least one, then they're gonna be in the game. That's what they need. But Seahawks, if we're talking about it, then they obviously know that.
Yeah, line ticking up to -14. Market not impressed by Phil Rivers at practice. I think, look, the thing is that I think Shane Steichen's a good coach, and I think that team is filled with solid coaching. And if they're making the choice that Phil Rivers gives them the best chance to win over Riley Leonard, still kind of have to defer to the institutional knowledge there, even if from the outside it seems pretty wild.
Yeah, and one thing to note, guys, his expected right tackle, Braden Smith, has not been practicing this week. Braden Smith, obviously, a stalwart on that offensive line. So
you didn't tell me that at first.
Yeah, you feeling what? Change the take? I give you the floor. Speaking of old people, Mercedes Lewis waived by the Broncos.
No!
But expected to be signed back to the practice squad.
Oh,
so the big dog, hopefully not going anywhere yet.
He representing.
This tips it for me. I love Packers -2.5 now.
Yeah,
the Broncos aren't
that's
winning
fair.
without Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis, a favorite of fantasy football happy hour. If you're missing one of these guys this week, well, you might need to get on waivers for fantasy playoffs here. These guys have availability in over 50% of leagues. C.J. Stroud, a top 15 play against Arizona. J.J. McCarthy, a top 20 play because he's playing Dallas. Chris Rodriguez Jr. against the Giants. Devin Singletary, of course, right back at you against the Commanders. Tajay Spears and Chimere Dike against the Niners. Jayden Reed, Broncos are a tough matchup, but Jayden Reed heavily involved in his return. Jayden Higgins, Theo Johnson, a favorite of Jackson Dart, and Isaiah Likely. The Bengals have been awful against tight ends this week. Let's get into a couple more questions here as the regulars have plenty to offer here going into the weekend. This first one is from Joshua Stinnett. Terry McLaurin, Tet McMillan, or Michael Wilson? Well, Michael Wilson is your written in ink.
He chooses himself.
Yeah,
Michael Wilson is in, and this one's tough because Terry McLaurin came back, looked good with Mariota versus the Broncos. I still go Tetaroa here going against the Saints.
Yeah.
What say you?
I think it's a coin flip between those two. Lean, Tetaroa, McMillan, a bit more stable of a situation.
Yeah, I think so too. It's nice to know that with Marv not playing, you have a definite in Michael Wilson there for you. This one from the Foot Brawler, of course, with T out, worth grabbing Josephus or Devon Vele, could also play Jerry Jeudy.
Well, Lawrence, you're the resident Browns fan.
See, Jerry Jeudy would be interesting. Yeah, that's my team, baby, Cleveland. Jerry Jeudy would. I would think that was interesting. The thing is, it's going to be 10 degrees out there in Chicago, feeling with the wind chill of -5.
Point total is probably like
38 and a half.
Yeah.
Have the Browns ever played a game in a dome? All of these games.
They always cold.
I hope they don't.
Yeah.
I hope they don't.
Man, with that being said, maybe Vele.
I was going to say.
Because Josephus, when Tee Higgins was out the last game, he didn't do much.
It's Gesicki. Gesicki gets the bump.
Mike, I would say it's more so that I think Mike Gesicki has always been good when either Tee Higgins or Jamar Chase is out of the game. He
becomes wide receiver 2 for them.
So I would say Devon Vele here.
Mike Gesicki treats every catch as though he's like won a competition to play in the NFL for a day and he's caught the ball for the first time. It's unbelievable.
Then he do that broke-ass gritty when he score.
All right, hopefully that helps you out, Foot Brawler. Our next question rolling in here from Dom Calango. Nico and Michael Wilson are auto starts. Need to pick 2. Justin Jefferson, Jacoby Myers, and Terry McLaurin. I think Jacoby Myers you're absolutely starting.
So funny that Michael Wilson's an auto starter over Justin Jefferson.
And look, we ain't mad at it.
God.
I'm still going with Justin Jefferson. Even I know that he hasn't done anything, but I would take. Yeah, good matchup.
I'll go Jefferson and Myers.
Me too.
Yep, yeah. I agree. Jacoby Myers is, #1 receiving option for Trevor Lawrence.
Right, yeah. The Jaguars are constantly looking his way. Has a pretty good matchup here against the Jets secondary right now, obviously, since they traded Sauce. So your answer there, Justin Jefferson and Jacoby Myers. Our next one here from Ball Glove Fun.
What the hell is that?
Sure. With the logo. Look at the custom logo.
Like it just made me think of so many different things. Just saying,
God.
Wilson over Josh Jacobs in the flex. I'm assuming you're talking about Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
And my answer would be yes.
Yeah.
Especially in PPR.
he got to be talking about Michael Wilson, right? Not Emmanuel, because it would be clear what you would do, right? So as of today, you would say we'd have to go with Michael Wilson because we don't know the status of Josh Jacobs right now. But I think hopefully you could get, when we get to Sunday and you don't have if Josh Jacobs is still questionable, then you have to go with Michael Wilson at the 1 o'clock game.
Yep. All right, let's get to a doctor that can answer our flexual frustrations as we welcome on good friend of the show, Denny Carter.
Dr. Carter, I have a friend. His name's Art Vanderlei. He's a latex salesman. You may have used some of his products in your personal life.
Sure.
And anyway, he's also an importer-exporter. Anyway, Art Vanderlei, he has a brother named Devon Vele. This is a very strange situation I found myself in, where Art Vanderlei was asking me whether he should start his brother Devon Vele against the Bucs this week.
Look, Devon Vele, 8 of 8 targets last week, caught 8 of 8 targets, 92 yards and a touchdown. This was after I went on the Roto World Football Show and said, you can't play this guy. Stop with the Vele stuff. And then he called me out by name after the game. I'm kidding, but seriously, he could have.
You got flexual frustrations. Our Dr. Denny Carter has the answer. Hello, Denny.
Denny.
Hey, guys. Yeah, look, Vele let me down. I can't get on the same page with Art Vanderlei or Devon Vele. But both of them are just beyond my comprehension at the moment.
That's okay.
Right. Let's run it back.
Doctor. Yeah, it's okay. The Vele's let down a lot of people. You don't have to worry about that. You're not alone there. Dr. Carter, I want to talk to you about love in a group setting of men. I speak, of course, of Jordan Love and his group of wide receivers, which features Jayden Reed, who now is in this big group of men of Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks and Romeo Doubs and Matthew Golden if he's still alive. Can we start Jayden Reed in our flex in his second game back?
I think there's enough love to go around, and really there always should be. As a doctor, we study the spreading of love, in a group setting like you're talking about, Jay. And so I do think that there's enough to go around for Jayden Reed. 65% of the routes last week in his return from injury. We could see that ramped up in this coming week and then into the fantasy playoffs. He was targeted on a pretty strong 24% of his routes last week. And Jayden Reed is facing a Broncos defense that is facing 10.15 slot targets per week. That's the 8th highest rate in the league. So slot receivers are getting opportunities against this Denver offense. I like Love, and I like Jayden Reed.
All right, nice, Denny. Denny.
Lawrence, first time.
Really?
Welcome to the segment, by the way, Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence has done this before. Be careful, my friend.
Speaking of love, I have a little family affair thing going on too, like last week with Jay and Vele. Ben Franklin, you ever heard of him? Guy on the $100 bill. Well, his great grandson Troy is on the other side of that Packers-Broncos matchup. Two good defenses. Wow. Can he get 100 bills for us like his great-great-granddaddy?
Yeah, look, that's the analytics of DNA, I guess. We've looked into that. I've looked into that as a doctor, and I think that you're right. I think you're onto something, actually, Lawrence. But yeah, against Green Bay, here's the reason. And Troy Franklin has lost his role to Pat Bryant over the past 2 weeks, but Pat Bryant unfortunately suffered a hamstring injury on Thursday during practice. He's seemingly very unlikely to play this week against the Packers. Troy Franklin, folks may forget, okay, the Zoomers, the young people might forget, through week 10, Troy Franklin was 4th in the whole NFL in air yards. He had a 20% target share over the first 10 weeks of the season. If he, reclaims that wide receiver 2 role for Denver, I think he could be very interesting against the Packers, who have profiled as a pass funnel lately.
Yeah. People don't actually know this, but Ben Franklin is actually one of Phil Rivers' 10 children.
People actually do often overlook that.
Yeah, people always forget that.
And what that makes Troy Franklin related to Phillip Rivers.
Exactly right.
See, the
one
more
knew that
you know.
until now.
Denny, Mike Kafka, very difficult human to figure out, as we've all learned. And one of those things is his obsession with Motor Singletary, getting the ball over and over again. But Tyrone Tracy, surprisingly, after that hip injury not that long ago, seemingly healthy against the Commanders. Can we get some influence over Mike Kafka to actually feature Tyrone Tracy?
Kafka seems to want, a two-way situation here between Tracy and Singletary. And that's okay. That's okay with me. I'm going with Tracy myself against a Washington defense that has been, as you guys know, awful of late, allowing the 5th highest rushing success rate and the 5th highest rate of missed tackles per rush. All the metrics point to the Commanders being really bad against the run and, of course, against the pass. Washington is allowing 164 rush yards per game since week 9. That's the 5th highest in the league. And the last 2 times that Tyrone Tracy has played a full game, he's seen 19 carries and 20 carries. I'll take that every day in this matchup.
Denny, great stuff as always. We always appreciate you coming on and answering everybody's flexual frustrations. And if everybody has more, don't miss right after this Denny's live Q&A, where you can have even more of these questions solved and answered. Thank you, Denny.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Denny.
Appreciate it.
This Sunday, the first round of the fantasy playoffs begins to wrap up with plenty of big names in Dallas as the Cowboys host the Vikings at Jerry World Sunday, 7 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. We're taking our first break. When we're back, we're answering some of your best questions. What's on tap is right after this.
that the sequel was that that opening scene where there's all these eggs and they scatter, they scatter. I say we look at that scene, we replay that scene, but from a different angle, and we notice that there is one egg that rolls all the way away and doesn't get destroyed, and that we see Nemo actually has a brother. I just remember thinking like
Finding Philip Rivers.
But the executive had said to us, screw you, screw you. I mean, award-winning.
Oh, Deb, this story makes me
We
wish
can
I was
arrange
Nemo.
that.
Yes, the Finding Nemo sequel.
I think I finally understand why Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles is no good.
Yeah, it all makes sense now.
Like, what the hell was going on in that?
Here's the regular power rankings for Week 15. where Stupid Dev is just an honorable mention somehow. I voted for him to be number 1 after that comment. Jonathan Medici, though, a very deserving holder of the top spot. Valiant Vincent, Raise the Flags, Aloha Brick, Stuntman Chuck, Neck Brace Nation, Lawrence. Big fan of yours.
Shout out to Neck Brace Nation, man. They came quick and they came strong, man.
Yep. Foot Brawler 77 also surging.
I wonder if others receiving votes, Scott McGlory 8312 is feeling like Notre Dame right now. Just on the outside.
Sitting there. Same with the SEC, man. All right, What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Sundays are easy to enjoy when they are full of football and the fridge is filled with beer, and we're going to make it even easier for you by taking some of your questions. The first one from Valiant Vincent, Sam Darnold, or Jared Goff this week, rest of the season. Jay, what do you think?
I think it's Jared Goff for both this week and the rest of the season. This week in particular, though, because the total in that Lions-Rams game is 54.5. So for Matthew, Jared Goff comes in at QB 13, Sam Darnold all the way down at QB 20. Not necessarily a reflection on Sam Darnold's talent, but just the fact that he is a 14-point favorite now in a game where he's not expected to throw. And we've just seen these games where when the Seahawks blow teams out, Sam Darnold often has, 20 pass attempts, and unless he hits a bomb,
there's been a game where Sam Darnold had 135 passing yards and they won 42-21.
That Cardinals game, I think he threw the ball like 11 times.
Yeah, they didn't have to throw. On the Lions and Rams side of it, though, you like the game environment. Jay, you mentioned the 54.5 over-under. That's tied for the highest of the season. It's by far the highest over-under of this week here. Lions got a hell of a lot more to play for right now as they're fighting for their playoff lives here against the best team in the NFL in the Rams. So I'm going to go with Goff as well.
The other thing, too, with Darnold, so he's got this game where he's a 14-point favorite against the Colts. In a couple of weeks, he plays the Panthers, where they'll be a big favorite there. And then the one game where he may actually need to throw, and it might be a shootout, is against the Rams, which is the team that he threw the 4 interceptions against and seems to have real trouble with Chris Schuler's defense.
Yes.
Schuler got him in the playoffs last year as well. So I don't think it's a great slate for Sam Darnold in the playoffs.
All right, our second question is from Nope Nunya 1. Help, Burrow or Hurts? Jones/Mason, Devin Neal, or Quinshon Judkins? A lot to unpack there, Lawrence. Let's start with the simple quarterback question. Burrow or Jalen Hurts coming off a horrendous game.
Which is exactly why I'll take him here. Right. That's the worst. I would say that's the worst game in Jalen Hurts' career.
Agreed.
Four interceptions coming off that game. Now he faces the Raiders. That's a whole different can of worms than going on the road against the Chargers there. You look at Joe Burrow again, he's going up against these Ravens with no Tee Higgins. Now, Joe Burrow started off slow in that Ravens game a couple of weeks ago, but he picked it up and looked like Joe Burrow the second half. But that Bills game, some of those turnovers just doesn't look like Joe Burrow. And then when it comes down to it, I'm just going with the quarterback who's already coming off of, he's not going to be worse than that. Then you got the better matchup. You're going against a team that's starting Kenny Pickett, so your offense is going to have more opportunities. So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts over Joe Burrow this week.
Yep, I agree there. I think, look, the actual outcome in his performance is diabolical, Hurts against the Chargers, but I thought some of the process elements were good fantasy-wise in terms of the fact that there were more design runs for Jalen Hurts. He was actually running the ball a little bit. There were gaps for Saquon Barkley to run as well. Just the offense, there were elements that you like, and I think you like as well that A.J. Brown continues to show that, he has made huge strides from where he was at the start of the season. And so if Hurts is throwing to, an awoken A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and there's maybe a little bit more juice in the running attack too, I think you prefer him to Joe Burrow without Tee Higgins. As far as the other aspect of the question goes, I would go with Quinshon Judkins over the Jones-Mason tandem and Devin Neal too. Judkins is rushing prop set at 70.5. He has a good chance of getting in the end zone. Bears rush defense, not particularly imposing. We saw what Josh Jacobs was able to do. And to your point, Lawrence, it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold out there. They want to
lean on the run game versus a team that's giving up 5 yards per carry to running backs this season. Those big dudes that run fast like that get hard to tackle in that cold weather.
Our last one, guys, 55.9 EB asks, Kyle Monangai, Tyrone Tracy, or Chris Rodriguez here, Lawrence?
Love me some Kyle Monangai, how he run that ball. the thing is, not much of a pass catcher in that Bears offense, but Tyrone Tracy is when he plays for the Giants, and he's got 20-plus touches in each of his last 2 healthy games. That was in Week 11 and in Week 12. Now, expect Devin Singletary to get those double-digit carries, but should be plenty enough to go around for both Giants running backs to get those touches in PPR. Obviously, Tyrone Tracy get you 4 to 6 catches. That's why I give him the edge over the others.
You agree, Jay?
Yeah, I think so. Just Monangai, you worry about the matchup against Cleveland. I understand that the Bears are, more than touchdown favorites in that game, but unless they're going up against Tony Pollard, the Browns have been just about the best rush defense in the NFL.
Yeah,
so
what happened with that?
I don't know. I just think they were just at the races.
It felt like
that
a very one-off outlier game.
Yeah,
we'll see if that changes, but it's very odd.
They'll bounce
take
back.
anything from it.
The positive case for Monangai would be that maybe this Bears rushing attack is just so good that it almost doesn't matter who their opponent was.
Monangai is not falling backwards when he get tackled. No. Always falling forward. That's what you love. That's what he brings to that offense.
Yep. But ultimately, I would go Tyrone Tracy as well. The most favorable matchup.
That'll do it for What's on Tap, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. But we do have a very important bonus question from the Major Slick. Hey, what happened? Why isn't the show on Spotify anymore? I like when a question starts with, hey, what happened?
What happened, man?
Why isn't the show on Spotify anymore? For all our regulars out there who listen to the show on Spotify, first off, thank you. We're aware of the recent episodes not being available. We're working on getting that fixed. In the meantime, you can listen to us on Apple or any other major podcast platforms. And, of course, don't forget, we're live on YouTube every weekday at noon Eastern and on Peacock at 5 p.m. And even if you missed the show live on YouTube, you could always go back and watch the show again at your best convenience on YouTube. So stick with us. We'll get back to those that are in the routine of listening on Spotify. We'll get that fixed. But for now, just stick with us and use a different platform. All right, we're taking our last break. When we're back, we have our best picks to impress Lawrence this week. Pick up lines.
I finally get to pick.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code FFHH when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
The crown
is yours.
This is done, gents. Last call. Pickup lines. We got them for Lawrence this week as we look at Jay and I.
Icky.
We'll finish strong. Don't worry.
Maybe. Well, if you kept losing.
The fight for
hey, I got one last week. Man, did it feel good. All right, go ahead, Jay.
All right. Oh, boy. All right, Lawrence, here's my pickup line.
Let's go.
Real strong set.
Grandpa Phil Rivers, over 151.5 passing yards. Now, here's the thing. This is clearly a very vulnerable market. No one knows how to price this market with great confidence. This is calculated guesswork. My man Phil Rivers has 63,000 passing yards. What's another 152? Here's the thing. He is a 14-point underdog in Seattle. If they think that he is a better option to start over Riley Leonard, then I think that he has enough left to simply throw to his first read in catch-up mode and get to 152. There's no crazy weather. The Seahawks have arguably the best rush defense in the NFL up there with teams like the Browns. I don't think that Jonathan Taylor is going to have a great deal of success on the ground. I just think that they're going to need to throw as underdogs, and that Phil Rivers, in his current state, will still be able to get to 152.
So obviously Jay and I don't discuss these. That's the point of the segment. But we're thinking along the lines of the same thing because I'm going Jonathan Taylor over 14.5 receiving yards. And here's why. Number one,
Colts themed.
There's a very real chance that they're getting smoked or they're at least playing in a script where they have to have the old man throw. The old man, the old man does not want to be taking deep drops back there and getting clobbered.
Correct.
That's not good for anybody, which means it's got to go to the running back that should always be on the field. And the Seahawks have allowed a running back as great as they are, because they're in these scripts, they've allowed a running back to clear this number in 6 of their last 8 games. Jonathan Taylor himself has cleared this number in 9 of 13 this year. It's 14.5 yards. You can get that off of a screen pass. So Jonathan Taylor, I like his receiving prop. Philip Rivers, last time we saw Rivers, he wasn't dumping it down to Jonathan Taylor, but he was dumping it down to Nyheim Hines a lot.
And you should definitely do it to Jonathan Taylor. It's funny because as Jay is saying his, I'm like, well, yeah, he's going to get that because he's going to throw it to Jonathan Taylor and he's going to break one and that'll get him halfway there. So because of that is why I got to go with Connor's bet, because I think that what helps him get there is Jonathan Taylor on those quick passes. So I like both of them. I think both will probably end up hitting, but because it's Jonathan Taylor, I got to go with Connor and JT here.
What a state of the season, fellas. We are, for pickup lines on Friday, we are closing out the week leaning and relying on a 44-year-old Philip Rivers.
We're got the sidearm, too. He going to be like...
The boys are back Sunday morning, of course, for Fantasy Football pregame, which you can watch right here. But that's it for us this week. For Jay, for Lawrence, I'm Connor. Good luck, everybody. Have a great weekend.